what I've figured out as a salesperson is that if I make my contacts, if I screw everything else up, but I make my contacts, I will still make money and I will still do business. And the only way that I am guaranteed to fail out of this business is if I don't make my contacts. So I organize my schedule around that. The one thing that has to get done is the contacts have to be made.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Vulcan7 Coaches and Mentors, where we bring you some of the best in the industry to share with you their tips and strategies so that you can implement them in your business immediately. Now, on today's episode, you're going to want to make sure to have a pen and paper ready because we're going to be talking about mistakes that agents are making when it comes to scripts and dialogues. So if you have been struggling to convert some of your leads, or maybe you don't even know what leads to follow up with, perhaps you have a system, but it's not really a system because you're only calling or reaching out when you remember, then this is the episode for you. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring on today's guest, Dale Archdekin. Welcome, Dale.
Hey, thank you, Loida. Thanks so much for having me. I'm honored. The great Vulcan7 has named me for their
Yes. So for everyone that's watching that maybe is not too familiar, just go ahead and share with us a little bit about your background, experience, and everything that you have going on.
Sure. So my company is Smart Sales Coaching. I've been in the real estate industry for about 20 years now, and we coach and train. We specialize in scripting and dialogue training for agents and ISAs and sales management. And we work with teams, mega teams in the top 5% of the Real Trends 1000. And we work with lots of lead and website providers, just like Vulcan7.
Awesome. So, right before we press record, we were talking about a few different things that we are seeing agents are doing or maybe not doing right. So, let's first begin with, scripts and mistakes. What are some of the things that you're seeing from the agents, maybe that you're coaching or just in general?
Yeah, so right now I don't know if this needs to be evergreen, but in 2025, you got to get back to basics right now. And the what we've identified are the core four skill sets for a salesperson. Those four skills are your introductions, your objection handling process, your value proposition, and your closing ability. So within those, what we find is that we can make a massive impact in the results of a salesperson if we can improve their skill set in those four areas. So I can go through and unpack each of the four and tell you what kind of the big common mistakes are if that's what you'd
Yes,
like to do.
let's do it. Mhm.
Okay. So with intros, basically any consumer, whenever you call them, no matter what lead type they are, where they came from, they want to know three basic things. Who are you? Why are you calling me? What do you want to know? So one of the big problems that agents have is they go in and they aren't prepared, or they're a little shaky, or they're a little confused, or they're not confident. And in fact, there's actually a trainer right now running lots of Facebook ads who's never sold a piece of real estate in his lifetime that's literally telling salespeople to act like they're confused when you call people. That is the worst thing you could possibly do because, Loida, I don't know about you. I don't like getting calls from salespeople, and I definitely don't like getting calls from salespeople who are confused and didn't at least
Yeah,
take a minute to prepare, right?
absolutely.
So that's a big one, is be prepared with your intro. They answer the question, who are you? Why are you calling me? What do you want to know? And 9 times out of 10, the consumer, these leads that we're calling, they don't want something from us. They're not looking for information or guidance right now. And so when you have that kind of person, you need a very pointed, directed question like, are you planning on buying in the next few months? Would you accept a cash offer on your home? That's a very pointed question that directs the conversation. If it's somebody that's looking for something from you, like a Zillow Flex lead, they're like, oh, hey, can I go see this house? Then you can ask things like, how can I help you? How's your search going? But if you're talking to somebody who isn't looking to talk to you, direct the conversation with a good, direct question to them.
Absolutely. I feel that asking the questions and just being confident when you speak already separates you from other agents that are just kind of winging it, hoping that someone's going to say yes, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about the scripting. Um, we're also talking earlier about, following up and what systems agents have or maybe don't have. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. It's funny what I was saying backstage is that when we take new clients onto my company, we ask them three questions. One, demonstrate for me how you get into a conversation, how you overcome objections, and how you tell people why they should work with you. That's one. Two, share your screen, show me your CRM, and show me your lead follow up process. And three, show me your schedule, right? And so with number two, when it's like, hey, show me your lead gen follow up process, a lot of agents are pretty much a deer in headlights when they're like, well, here's where my new leads are. And then, I should do this, I should do that. And you're like, no, 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 show me what you do. And usually they're like, oh, well, I go in here and I hunt and I peck, and then I don't call this one because of that, and I don't call this one. So they don't have their lists clean. They spend 30 minutes just trying to figure out who to talk to. They make a couple of dials. A couple people don't want to talk to them or say no, and they're like, okay, that's it. I'm going to go work on my Instagram page now. And so they don't have a good process that they can follow, and they give up really easily on it because they don't get immediate success.
Now, why do you think it is that a lot of agents just don't even have systems in place like this?
Um, you know, so I know Vulcan 7 is awesome, awesome. And when I ran inside sales departments and teams, I literally used Vulcan 7 as a tool because I came as from being a hardcore FISBO and expired prospector myself. So companies like this have a really good process, but a lot of lead providers or CRMs, frankly, they weren't started by or run by people who are hardcore salespeople. And so they have great staff, they have great support, but they typically don't have somebody who's like, okay, agent, this is what you do first. This is what you do next. This is what you do third. And these are the basic things you need, right? Forget all the other buttons and everything. So in a lot of cases, the agents don't have that, or somebody told it to them and they just haven't done it yet, is my
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah. And I think it's so important to have everything, organized and have an actual system, because a big mistake that I see agents doing is that they get into the business, they want to make a certain amount of money or do an X amount of transactions, but they don't run what they're doing like a business, having everything systemized. So, for you, when it comes to your coaching clients right now, is there anything specifically that you guys are focusing on?
Yeah, making sure that they have a very clear process in their CRM, whichever one it is, or their lead provider, the dashboard, so that they can basically identify who are my new leads, who has to be contacted right now, who are the people that came in the last 7 days that have to be contacted, and then who are the people that have come back to my website or consumed my content. And so that I can flow through them with the remaining time that I have to follow up with people. And so that's the very first thing we do. Just set that up. And it doesn't matter what system it is, or even if you're like, Barney Rubble and it's just an Excel spreadsheet, you can still do it that way. That's the first thing that we do. Second thing that we do is help them clear away um, this concept of a perfect schedule, because it never works that way. And what I've figured out as a salesperson is that if I make my contacts, if I screw everything else up, but I make my contacts, I will still make money and I will still do business. Um, and the only way that I am guaranteed to fail out of this business is if I don't make my
Mhm.
contacts. So I organize my schedule around that. The one thing that has to get done is the contacts have to be made, right? And then from there would be following up with people, going on appointments, and then if I get around to it, doing paperwork.
I love what
Hopefully
you
my
say about doing what you're supposed to be doing, because something that I say is, you can have the best skills, but if you're not putting in the work, someone with half the skills that you have, if they're being consistent, they're going to be making more money. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
know when I've told agents that kind of gets them fired up, because I know it's happened to me where sometimes I've seen another agent and I'm like, I know that my skills are a little better. Like maybe I just need to put in more work because I've been slacking. So,
That is
um,
absolutely true, and even to the own detriment of my company. We specialize in scripting and dialogue, and I'm like, "Listen, you could do nothing we teach you, but if you just go have more terrible conversations, you're gonna sell more real estate than somebody who has no conversations, but
exactly.
knows how to do it well."
Yes, yes. And you brought up something earlier. You mentioned that you've gone over for sell by owners and expires, you personally,
Yep.
that you prospected. So I want to go back. And, I want to know more about Dale and his prospecting when real estate was, something that you focused on. What was that like? And actually, before you answer that, what made you get into real estate?
So I was working as a designer, an exhibit designer, and I was like, they keep giving me work, but no more money. And I want more money. And then I saw all these agents. This was before the 2008 collapse, back when anybody would give you money because you wrote a note that said you promised you would give it back, right? And so all these agents are like driving these fancy cars, and it looks like a lavish lifestyle, looks easy. And I've always been interested in real estate. And I'm like, screw this 40-hour a week thing for no money. I'm going to go sell real estate. It'll be easy. I'll do it part time. I'll make tons of money. I can invest. And then I get my license, and 2008 happens, and the market completely collapsed. And I was like, first of all, I figured out that that was a total fantasy even before '08, right? For a new
Mhm.
agent getting in. And then especially now, it's like, well, I wasn't in, I was outside of sales. I didn't have a sphere of influence, didn't have past clients, didn't have any money to buy leads, but I did know how to cold call because I had cold called previously in my life. And so they said, I went to a boot camp with my broker. They said, here's a stack of scripts we downloaded off the internet. Go call some for sale by owners and some expireds. And I did that, and I got business. And then I got to the point where I was taking 5, 7, 8 listings a month.
That's awesome. And now you focus with your coaching on dialogue and scripting. Is there
Mhm.
something that you saw that you were like, you know what? I really want to focus on this aspect when it comes to coaching agents?
Yeah, so I partnered up with a guy in my market. So I was grinding it out, hardcore listing agent, and then I was starting to get burned out. And another agent in my market came to me and he's like, "Hey, I got this small team. We're doing about 100 transactions a year, and I just bought this amazing website, but it's dumping leads on the floor and my agents are kind of lazy. Will you help me work this?" And I said, "Great idea. I want to teach other people how to do this so I can get out of doing it myself." And I heard this crazy idea that Tim Heil down in Texas is doing called an inside sales department. Let's make that happen. He was like, great. So then we started doing it, and we screwed it up and we lost money until I finally got it figured out after about a couple of years, to the point where I could take a stranger off the street, give them our average lead mix. And this is before anything crazy in our market was available. Give them our average lead mix and our training. And that person in their first 12 months could produce 60 transactions for the team individually. And so we made that ISA department profitable. And then I was like, I bet other companies would want to know how to do this. So I started teaching other teams and brokers how to implement inside sales in their businesses. Very quickly figured out they didn't have good training for their agents. So now we've added on the training too.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because sometimes, agents they're ready to get everything going and they're not well equipped with the right tools and dialogue and things to say. So it's almost
No,
like they're being set up for failure and then they
right.
think nothing works.
Right. And the team leader is like, I don't understand, guys. I told you once how to do this. I told you once or twice what to say. Why aren't you, how come you're not catching fire here? And they need repetition. They need practice. I was literally just before this, I was on with a top mega team where I'm training their agents, and we're literally doing push-ups. We're doing practice. We're role playing. We're practicing because they have to be able to do it smooth as butter in practice to have any shot of halfway doing it in the real world with somebody who can potentially pay them a commission or not.
So, with these teams and agents that you're training, when it comes to the dialogue and the communication, is there any specific technique that you guys focus on? Whether it's like, as soon as someone answers the phone, you need to say this or start a
Yeah.
conversation this way?
Yeah. So with the intro specifically, you got to answer the first three questions. Who are you? Why are you calling me? What do you want? And then we employ some specific techniques like matching the first word from the word that the person answering says. Knowing who it is, meaning I don't ask if it's you with my words, or I don't ask if it's you with my tone, because nobody calls your cell phone in 2025 who doesn't know it's you and isn't a salesperson, right?
Mhm.
Anybody who calls your phone is either sales or knows you. So you know who they are from the beginning. You deliver who you are, why you're calling, which is like, you took this action, you did this thing, you asked for this thing. And then what do I want to know? Are you buying in the next few months? Are you accepting offers on your property? Blah, blah, blah. And then a pro tip is I can give you whatever your likely objection is, hey, are you buying in the next few months, or are you just window shopping? Are you still accepting offers on your property, or have you sold it already, right? Or have you decided to keep it off the market? You just give them the objection that they would give you anyway, because then it makes them feel more comfortable. So that's intros in a nutshell. And
Oh.
it works on all different types of lead sources. And then we move on to objections specifically. And I was just practicing this. So with objections, you have 5 things that you can do when you're handling objections: discovery, disputing, educating, persuading, and closing. And they're all distinct techniques or strategies. Most coaching companies teach the bottom 4. Like they like pat each other on the back for like arguing the best and educating people the best or having the snackiest close. We start by teaching salespeople to ask great, pure discovery questions into the face of an objection. Somebody says, I'm not going to buy until next year. We teach them to automatically ask things like, oh, got it. What's important about buying next year? Or is there an advantage to buying next year? To understand the prospect before you try to argue with them or change their mind or anything like that. And then once you get somebody there, a student there, then you can teach them the, hey, here's how you argue and sound great and win awards on stage as a salesperson.
So, because I know that probably a lot of the audience that is watching this are probably going after expires and for sale by owners, I want to do a very quick role play, an
Sure.
expired role play where I'll be the expired, you can be the agent. That way, the agents watching this can see you in action, kind of implementing everything that you just mentioned.
Okay. How far do you want to go in the role play?
I'll just say the first objection, which you'll know what it is. I'll try not to be too hard, but
Okay.
you'll get it. I just kind of want to do like the intro so that they can see kind of how to break through it and start asking questions and figuring things out.
Okay, sure. All right. Ring, ring.
Okay, hello.
Hello, Loida. This is Dale Archdekin with Amazing Realty. I'm giving you a call about your property on address. I just wanted to reach out and see if you're still accepting offers on that property or if you've totally taken it off the market.
Yeah, we took it off the market. At this point, we're not really even sure what we want to do. We might just hold off until interest rates go down because we do need to purchase another home.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, how are the interest rates affecting your ability to purchase?
They're just too high right now, and we need to be able to have our mortgage on a certain amount. And plus,
Mhm.
we weren't getting a lot of activities when we did have our home for sale, so that's why I think we're just going to take a break.
Oh, got it. Okay. Well, the home selling aside, because it's beautiful and I know that it would sell if we were helping you, but back to the interest rate part, how did you figure out that today's interest rates were going to prevent you from being able to purchase?
Well, we kind of saw a breakdown. Our agent connected us with a lender. The lender gave us like some brief information. It was not too detailed. But obviously, since we have to sell this home as well, we figured, you know what, let's focus first on selling the home and then see if we can get into something else.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Now it sounds like things have flipped around a little bit. It sounds like you being able to purchase and being able to afford it is really making the decision on when you decide to sell your property to another buyer. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. But like I said, we had it for 3 months, didn't get any offers. So at this time, we had quite a few people come in and out of the house. So that's why we're thinking we're just gonna hold off for now.
Oh, okay, got it. I'm gonna keep going down the mortgage path with you, and probably assure you that it will sell if we work with you, and that I have no idea what your agent did or didn't do. So I can't speak to why it didn't sell. I'm gonna keep focusing on your buy, because right now that is a massive controller of whether you do something or you don't do something. You would first have to believe that you could make the move and find something to move into. Convincing you that your home will sell is a brainer. That's easy. Most people believe at their heart that their home is awesome and that it's worth more than anybody else thinks it is. So, anyway, to break down what I was doing, I went in confidently. I know who you are. I'm talking. I know it's you. I know it's your property, because if it's not, you're going to tell me. So it doesn't really matter. And then I just asked you the direct question: are you still accepting offers on the home, or have you taken it off completely? You gave me the information around interest rates, right? So I went down the path of interest rates. I'm just understanding you. I haven't disagreed. I haven't tried to change your mind. I haven't tried to pitch you in any way. And so this is what we teach people on how to get into these conversations and unpack people.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's why I wanted to do this little dialogue so that people can actually see you and hear you, because this is a big thing. Sometimes we get agents all the time. I'm sure you hear it where they're like, you know what? As soon as I say hello, they're hanging up on me. Like I can't even get through my full first sentence. And
Yeah.
it goes back to what they're saying and how they're saying it as well.
Yeah, most if you're getting hung up on, it's because you sound like a salesperson. It's because you present like a salesperson. It's because you're either not confident when you go in or you're a little too practiced and it sounds like a pitch from minute 1, right? That's a lot of times when people will hang up on you. But
Mhm.
if you go in confidently, if you go in conversationally, and if you ask a very clear question, usually they will give you the answer and they will hang out and have a conversation with you. One thing to understand, Loida, for everybody listening, it's uncomfortable typically for most of us to hang up on anybody. We don't like doing it, right? And we'll only do it, most of us will only do it if that person just shows up very poorly.
Mhm. Absolutely. So I know that you have something really exciting that you're working on that I definitely want the audience to know. So tell us about that.
Sure. So it's called the Appointment Accelerator training. It's a free training. It lasts about 25 minutes. It's on demand, so you don't have to wait around for a webinar. And basically, what we do is we break down those core 4 scripting areas that most salespeople are having issues with, as well as identifying the proper sort of CRM flow, lead flow, and the scheduling and timing, everything around getting yourself more appointments right now with the lead sources that you already have. The leads, the database that you already have, we can, with most students that come on, we can double or triple the number of weekly appointments that they set just by giving them an adjustment around their skill set, around their schedule, their mindset, and around their CRM. And so you can go to smartsalescoaching.com/appointment and you can check out that free training.
Awesome. And if someone wants to get a hold of you and learn more about your coaching to get involved with that,
Sure. Just email us sales@smartsalescoaching.com, or you can get me directly, Dale@smartsalescoaching.com. And I also do a weekly podcast called Cash Call. It's available on YouTube. And our YouTube is Smart Sales Coaching. And literally, you just listen to me play live recordings of salespeople and break down the calls with my co host, Brian Curtis.
oh, I love that. I think it's so important to listen to calls. I mean, I know for me, recording my calls and then listening to myself helped me become better. I remember the very first for sale by owner phone call that I ever did in my life. I recorded it and I posted it on YouTube. So everybody saw how horrible I was, but I learned from it. And it helped other agents too to know that, you start at the bottom, but then you just keep on getting better.
Yeah, when I first started in coach, when I was being coached, I had to record my calls and I had to send them to my coach, and it was painful,
Yeah.
and it was definitely a learning experience. But there's no better teaching tool than to listen
Mhm.
to what you actually said, and then if you have a coach or a mentor helping you with how to do it better, you increase much faster.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up, what are 3 things that you would say agents need to be doing right now as soon as they're done watching this episode?
They need to go and watch the Appointment Accelerator training. They need to. I think the very first thing is, are you spending the time doing the one most important job you have to do, which is making contacts? And if you aren't, scrap your calendar and rewrite it where that's the first thing that gets done every day. And then 2, if you had to sit in front of me and show me how you work your leads in your system, would you be proud of what you showed me?
Yes, I love it. Awesome. Well, Dell, thank you so much for being on today's episode. I'm sure that everyone's going to get a lot of value. They're going to have to rewatch this maybe 2 or 3 times so that they can write down more than notes. And we're going to make sure to put all of your links in the description box below. And with that being said, everyone, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so
Bye.
much for having me.